Hey guys, it's Rue again, and today we are going to do a video that should be mostly a short introduction and then scrolling through photos. I simply quickly want to tell you basically how I came across this artist, why I found it interesting, and then we're going to get into some odd engravings and depictions from this particular artist. But let me show you the photo that brought me to him first. So I was actually going through photos by Remi Parr. And Remi Parr is another artist around the same time period that I did a video on before in American History episode 2. This particular individual had a tendency to do biblical events. And so I showed you some of the architecture from those images. And we went into how the quote-unquote pharaoh was being depicted as a king with very Roman-looking architecture, but we still have a Moses and Aaron that look very different from the other individuals. So, more importantly, we showed you Jerusalem in the 1800s, that supposed bustling city that was so populated that they had to start moving outward. Right. Definitely not a ruins. No, of course not. Not a ruins. Not at all. So needless to say, I found this particular work in the midst of Remi Parr's work. And this work is actually, I'm going to slaughter this name, Jan Luyken or Luyken. Don't know how to say that. The Y is probably silent. All right, so that artist was alive from the time period of 1649 to 1712. So all this work is going to be right around the same time period of Remi Parr's work, 1700s. He was born and died in Amsterdam, married at 19 and had several children, including the renowned engraver Caspar Luyken. But anyway, so this seems to be passing through the family. I noticed that it's definitely, with the amount of works that each individual did throughout their lifespan, showed that this was definitely a job. This was something that they did a lot of work. Like all day, every day kind of situation, just from the sheer amount of engravings that we have, so. But anyway, this was the first image that interested me because of the, as always, architecture in Jamaica. When the devastating earthquake of 1692 ripped through Port Royal, aka the richest and wickedest city in the world, a very different Caribbean capital rose up in its place. Downtown Kingston, the conflicted heart of Jamaica's modern capital, was born of disaster. A battered pocket watch, its hands frozen at exactly 11:43, memorializes the moment on June 7, 1692, when an earthquake ripped through this English Caribbean colony. Mountains split, buildings shattered, and a tsunami swept away uncountable bodies, living and dead, as the earth's convulsions exhumed corpses from their graves. So it was quite the event. You can certainly look more into that, but I found it very interesting, but not the direction I'm going because we got a lot more pictures to look at, so I can't just focus on one. So there is going to be one category at the end, which I might pop back in on just to kind of say something short, but just pay attention to a few things, okay? Obviously, the number one thing always we pay attention to, architecture, okay? Very important. However you want to think, just get into the mind of the artist because he's telling you a story here. This is not just someone painting for fun. These were very important works of art that were engraved so that they would last a while. And the sheer number and the fact that he did important works for books, and he was known for his mapping. And you'll notice on his mapping the style he used to line everything up properly. So his maps are highly accurate. They are based on these nodes, okay? These nodes are real, they exist, and it makes it a lot easier to measure your maps. So he used the right style for sure. So first, we're gonna scroll through his maps So you can kind of get an idea of the work he did to see just how good it really was. If this individual is making maps like these, then I guess we can assume that this particular artist is very accurate in the work that he does, right? That I feel it's fair to say that his work might be pretty literal, or at least very accurate. Quality, right? A couple more photos and I'll leave you guys to it on your own with some hopefully not horrible background music. I know people, they either don't like the music I choose or I'm just not very good at mixing it. Hopefully we do a little better this time. And worst case scenario, you can shut off the music and just scroll through the photos. This is honestly what I do, is I just search through photos to kind of get an idea. So you can do the same. You can shut my voice off, shut the music off, feel free. I won't be offended. 2 more pictures before I take my voice out of here. If you saw my American History series and you actually watched some of them, you'll see that we did Solomon's house, the depiction of his house. And that engraving was done by Remi Parr. So here we have Jan, which I'm just going to leave it as Jan because I don't know how to say his name. Here he has the Temple of Solomon. Look what he's got. Look at that building. Wow. Now again, we don't necessarily have photographic evidence, so we got to be careful how we take artists' work. However, like I said with the maps, right? He was known for accurate mapping. His artwork is impeccable. And lastly, I want you to pay attention to how he depicts God in heaven. Maybe he's saying that's Christ, whatever you want to say. He always puts him over this. But this is just one hint to the group of photos that we'll do at the end, and I will pop back in for one more second for that. This is just a teaser. But believe that's it. So I'm gonna scroll some photos for you. Enjoy the music or your own music and pause at each of the photos if you need to. Take your time, really look at the details of them. This is the mindset of someone in the 1600s, okay? It's interesting to look at. Enjoy. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed those photos. So now on to that last group I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to try to do this quickly, and I'm going to try to leave this up for your own interpretation. I just want to go through some photos I found that he has depicted both the globe and God in heaven, just to kind of be like, what do you guys think? I don't know. It's interesting. So here we have, obviously, the globe, and then this structure on top of it. Things crashing off of it. And then we have death kicking the globe. So obviously we can have interpretation of the world being destroyed, right? Okay, cool. But let's look at some more. Here we have that same globe, but you can see this little strap around it, and then with that strap on top of it is usually the cross. So here we have individuals sleeping on the globe, resting at the sign. Again, this is an artist not just drawing for fun, or you would have just drawn anything. They're trying to tell you stuff. He has an arm on the pole facing that direction. Go that way. The way to go is that way. But these guys? Obviously, they're not bringing a globe with them. This is a story. They are not currently going that direction. They're here resting on the globe. They're not, in this particular one, not quite attached or chained to the globe, but definitely resting on it. Oh, I don't have the energy to go the route I need to, right? I'm gonna rest right here. Now, like I said, the artist puts this up here, right? So you got stuff below, and then obviously not a whole lot that I'm too concerned about with this picture other than this piece, okay? Because he likes to put this in his images. Here's another one. But also in this one is this sphere with the circles and the circles, which we saw in Remi Parr's work. These would sit on top of the tents. And it was on the cover page as well, with little lightning depictions coming out of it, as if it's some sort of energetic or magical sphere or whatever. But they had these on top of buildings and on top of the tents of the Israelites. Here's another depiction of it, but it's much larger this time. And again, he sits on it. Which, what do the Bible verses usually tell us? He sits on top of the firmament, right? But how do you depict the entire firmament, which would take way more than this part of sky that's in this picture? How do you depict that? Well, you put it further back and smaller, just so you can get it into your picture, right? So another globe. And again, not much can be interpreted here. You could just be like, oh, he's leaving Earth to go to heaven. I mean, that Jacob's ladder, whatever. That's normal, right? Maybe not much can be taken from that. But let's keep going. Here's another idea of the exact same ladder. However, what's happening here? We saw the globe with this on it, right? And then the crosses on it in other pictures as well, which we'll see. But there's a chain connected to his foot. This particular individual makes it up without it chained to their foot. This particular individual wants to get up and is looking up at the other individual like, I want to go up there, but is chained to the world. Okay. Odd. Could just be the world, right? Let's keep going. Here, we have what they described as a man looking at dying leaves of a tree. And we get dying probably from the bones. But look again, we have this globe with this symbolism on top, on a pile of dead bones, and the depiction of this is dying leaves. Not sure if that description matches. But again, why? Why is this in there? Why are we getting rid of this globe that has this symbolism on it? Why are people chained to it? Let's keep going. This particular individual is standing here looking like he's trying to talk to this person. This person, meanwhile, carrying the world with the symbol on it. Cool. Alright, so here's where it gets interesting. We have this depiction of the narrow gate. there will be another one that has both the wide and the narrow gates. This particular gate has the death symbol on it. In this image, we do have the globe, but there's not much being done with this globe. It's just sitting in the background. So let's look at the other ones. Here we have a narrow gate, but people sitting not going through it, and they're sitting with the globe. Why? This individual looking at them pointing down there, but these people sitting at the gate with the globe. Okay. This particular image has the individual showing them to go through the gate, and this person's trying to carry the globe with him, along with what looks to be maybe treasures on it. Some necklaces, some jewelry. Trying to take the globe through the narrow gate. But if you notice, this thing in every single image is wider than the gate itself. So they can't go through with it. Again, can't take the world with you? Sure, that's an interesting interpretation. But why do we have a globe that has specific symbolism on it and people chained to it? So for the last image, very last image, you have in this wide gate a very large group of individuals, many people. Over here you have just a couple. And what are they carrying? They are carrying their crosses through the narrow gate, because the cross in and of itself will fit. It's thin. It goes through. So all the people that were at this particular gate before were hanging out with the globe, and they could not go through it. These individuals brought their crosses and were able to go through it. Over here, lots of people, right? And look at the symbol. The symbol that everybody tried to carry through the gate, they could not carry. Again, if you want to only take that you can't take the world with you through that narrow gate, sure, that makes sense. But the symbolism, the globe that everyone can't get rid of, that has symbolism. So the cross is here, and the cross is here. So the cross in and of itself is not the issue. It's the type of cross being the one that particular religions use, and the wrap that you saw around it, right? That's specific symbolism. You can't go this route, which is not just the earth, it's the globe with that religious symbolism on it. You can't take that through the gate. It's interesting. So this, along with the artist's tendency to put that into his work, the firmament, and then that sphere, which does not have the globe on it, but had those circles. So if I need to show you again, let's go look at that real quick. This one. The circle and the circle and the circle. This is not a globe. This is those circles, those spheres that are on top of the tents. You have the sphere with the circle and the circle and the circle without islands. It's not a globe. It's a sphere of some sort. Or it even could be a disc, but it looks like the artist is trying to make us think sphere. And they're the balls that are on top of the buildings in Tartaria, and the balls that are on top of Jacob's tent. But that sphere that has energy coming out of it versus the globe are two different things. And that sphere goes along with the firmament depiction and the Godhead on top. So I find these interesting. What is the difference between those two spheres, and why is this particular artist, along with the other artist, depicting such modern towns and modern Bible stories, these spheres, the firmament, and then images like this, where people try to go through the narrow gate, but they can't take anything with them other than their cross. So a bunch of people either hang out at the narrow gate, hanging on to that globe, or they hang out at the wide gate, which has the symbol over it. Now, I'll let you guys take what you want from that, but I feel like it's way more than just leaving the world behind. It's the world with the symbolism. Okay, so there's more to the story. Otherwise, you would have just had the depiction of a man trying to bring gold bars through the door, like suitcase full of bars, or anything from the world. They would have given you any depiction of the, but they put the globe. Why? The globe with the religious symbolism on top of it. But I'm going to leave it at that for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe and like. I do a lot more where this comes from, and I got plenty of projects backed up that I gotta get done. That's it, guys, and peace out.